Hey friends, welcome back, and it's time yet again for more Reddit stories about entitled people, crazy people, and everything in between. So be sure to subscribe if you're new here, and we're getting right into it. Selling on Facebook. Lowballed. Accepted their offer and had them meet me at the local pub. When I list something on Facebook Marketplace, I do it with the intention of selling it basically right away. What does this mean? It means my price is low, sometimes too low, and firm. I don't budge on price. But that has never mattered. They always buy it at full price anyway. I absolutely hate getting 50 "is it still available" messages. When I get one of those, I just delete and ignore. A few days ago, I was selling a set of new takeoff tires / wheels. MSRP was in the $2,500 range. Used prices were in the $1,500 to $2K range. I listed these at $1K. Within an hour, I had probably 20 messages about them. My response is always the same. The price is the price. I will not hold them. First come, first serve. One of the guys who messaged me offered $250. These are a slow sell at $2K, but a near instant sell at $1K. There is no world where $250 was an appropriate offer. So I told him that. My word for word, punctuation for punctuation response to his offer was, no. But that didn't stop him. He justified his offer by sending several listings showing other tires, etc. So I blocked him and moved on. Fast forward 10 minutes, and I get another message from a different Facebook account with the same offer. This guy was now using a second Facebook account, so I blocked the second account. And then he did it with the third account. I was done at this point. Clearly, I couldn't win by just blocking and moving on. This guy was relentless. His strategy was to literally annoy the living crap out of you until you just said yes, and blocking his accounts wouldn't work. Who knows how many accounts this guy had? And so I did what any other sane person would do, and accepted his $250 offer. I told him I would take his $250 offer, but that he would have to meet me later that night, as I was currently busy. He said that he was about a 2-hour drive from me, and asked to meet me halfway. I said no. He was eager to make a quick buck off of me, so agreed to drive to me. There is a street in our town that has a few pubs on it. 3 of these pubs are within about half a mile of each other, kind of set up so you park on the street and walk between them. And these pubs are usually busy by 11 p.m. By busy, I mean there is zero parking anywhere. You usually have to park at least a half mile away and walk to the pub. And so I did what any sane person would do and set the meet for 11 p.m. at one of these local pubs. I sent him a message at around 10:45 p.m. and asked him to meet me in the pub, and we could walk over to my truck and grab the wheels / tires. He messages me at 11 p.m. and told me he was out front. There is no way to park out front without blocking the entire street, and traffic is usually heavy at 11 p.m., meaning he couldn't just wait out front, he would have to move. So again, I did what any sane person would do, and waited until about 10 minutes after 11 p.m. to message back. In that 10 minutes, I received no less than 20 messages from him. These messages painted an amazing picture, as he grew more and more frustrated, as he sent screenshots of his location asking if he was in the right place, as he kept telling me he would drive down the block and circle back. You get the point. 10 minutes later, I sent a simple, "Sorry about that, didn't see your messages. I'm at the bar in XYZ pub. Just park and come in, I'll grab you a beer." He accepted the offer, parked what I assume was a half mile plus away, and walked to the pub. 10 more minutes of me not responding, and 20 plus messages later, I sent a simple, "Sorry about that, didn't see your message. I walked down to PDQ pub, probably about 500 yards away, thinking you may be there. Meet me down here?" Fast forward until right around midnight. I had made this man drive 2 hours one way, walk at least 2 miles, go into all 3 pubs, and curse me every way to Sunday. And he was still 2 hours from home. So I did what any sane person would do, and turned off Facebook notifications and went to bed. Oh, and the wheels and tires sold earlier that day for exactly $1,000. Entitled tourist thinks public crowded park is his personal living room. I'm currently traveling in Japan. Since I've been here, I've witnessed some rudeness from other tourists. It's been easy to give them the benefit of the doubt that they just don't realize they're in other people's way or whatever. Today, I visited Osaka Castle and its surrounding park, which is probably the most jam-packed, congested area of the city. On a Sunday like today, I would expect there to be close to 8,000 people visiting the park. I had just seen the castle and was walking around the park, where I happened upon a street performer putting on a juggling show. I heard shouting and noticed about 10 meters from the performance area, a British male tourist was sat with his family on a rock bed under a tree, yelling at people to stop blocking his view of the juggler. When most people ignored him because they didn't understand his angry English, he got up and physically grabbed people's arms and pushed them away. The Japanese locals scurried away from this rude foreigner twice their size, putting his hands on them. But his stupid plan didn't work because eventually he got too lazy to keep getting up and shoving people out of his way. Then, like a gargantuan toddler, he pushed his way up to the front of the crowd and stood there absolutely seething while he watched the last 5 minutes of the performance. I cannot stress enough how crowded this park was, just huge hordes of people everywhere trying to be courteous to one another. And then there's this asshole thinking he's the most important person in the park, and everyone else needs to let him sit and enjoy his private juggling show. Setting the forest on fire. This happened 5 years ago when I was a sophomore in high school. My best friend and our boyfriends, who were conveniently each other's best friends, wanted to throw a party on the last night of spring break. Of course, none of our parents were about to let us and 30 of our asshole friends break the law in their backyards, so we had to improvise. The older kids in our town always had parties at a place called Lake Pap. It was a man-made fountain off the side of a popular road, with a thick patch of woods behind it. There was a path into the woods and eventually you hit a clearing, where generations of teenagers have been getting drunk over the years. We decided that this place was the best chance we had at throwing a party. So we sent out a mass text and bought some 30 cases, because that's how you host a high school party. Being that we were putting on the show, we arrived first. We all showed up in the same car and parked by a warehouse next to the woods. We walked around to the back of the warehouse, and each of the boys grabbed one of those huge wooden shipping pallets so we could burn a fire. We told all the guys who were coming to bring a pallet up with them too, so we could keep the fire going all night. So we get to the clearing, find some dilapidated chairs, start our fire, and we're having a great time. Our friends show up and their friends show up, and eventually some seniors and graduates show up. These weren't exactly the cool seniors that you wanted to crash your party. They were the scary ones that drove monster trucks and came to school on PCP. Fun. Things start getting a little hectic at this point and everyone is really drunk. I guess the older kids were mad that we stole their party spot, because they started being total dicks and stealing our beer and messing with our fire. One kid named Chris did a pull-up on a tree branch, ripping it down in the process. He threw the limb into our pile of burning pallets. Then he pulled down another one and tossed it into the bonfire. Then another one, and another one. This kid must seriously be a pyro. Some guys from our grade start telling him to calm down and he tells them to F off. He grabs the gallon of gasoline that we brought with us and flings it at the trees on the border of our little clearing. Then crap gets real. He grabs one of the huge branches out of the fire and throws it into the forest that he just threw a gallon of gasoline on. The perimeter of trees that was surrounding us went up in flames. It was roaring and crackling and blasting heat on us, the whole 9 yards. The older kids start cracking up, and the younger kids start booking it back the way we came. The older kids didn't stick around long, but they weren't concerned enough to rush their way out. We head out of the woods and end up on train tracks. Right on the other side of the tracks is an apartment building with its balconies facing the woods. Everyone in the apartment complex had a perfect view of the flames and smoke that now engulfed all of the woods. There were a bunch of old people yelling, "You assholes, don't bother running away, we already called 911. Once more of the residents caught on, there was just a lot of chaotic screaming. Then we heard the sirens. Everyone scrambled in different directions. My boyfriend and I headed up the train tracks, and apparently we were the only ones to do so. After about a minute of running, we saw lights straight ahead of us in the distance. The cops were about to walk right into us. My boyfriend motioned towards the barrier of bushes that separated the tracks from the apartment property, and we lie flat in the bushes. It was pitch black around us, and we waited for the cops to walk past us. It felt like the longest 90 seconds of my life. Eventually, the cops are on the train tracks right next to where we were laying. They shined their lights right on us and kept walking. I guess it was too dark for them to distinguish our clothes. Either way, I felt super relieved. We walk a little ways up and hop off the train tracks. Now we're in the huge open, perfectly lit parking lot for a bunch of business buildings. We started walking, talking about how crazy that whole thing just was, when a cop car rolls in. I knew he was about to talk to us. We were right next to the woods about 150 feet from where the fire was actively burning. Of course we were suspicious. He rolls to a stop next to us. Thankfully, this police officer happened to be my then boyfriend's wrestling coach's brother, so he went easy on us because he knew my boyfriend from the wrestling matches. He asked us what we were doing and pretended to believe us when we said we were taking a walk. He offered us a ride home and I thought we were screwed, but it turns out he was actually being really nice. He dropped me off first, and he was even cool enough to drop me a couple houses down so my mom didn't see me getting out of a cop car. Half an hour later, my boyfriend called me and said, "After you got out of the car, he told me he knew exactly what we were doing, and he wanted to know the names of everyone there. I just told him the name of the kid who started the fire." I'm not sure if that kid ever got in trouble for it, but none of my friends did, and that's all I cared about. Although a week later, my boyfriend got suspended from the wrestling team for 2 weeks for breaking their sobriety oath. Need my uniform before you will give me my last check? No problem. Quite a while ago, both my mom and my grandmother worked for one of the local casinos. At the time, the casino had a 90-day trial and then you would get insurance. During the course of them working there during the 90-day trial, the casino switched their policy to 18-month trial before getting insurance. So they then proceeded to find reasons to fire all of their employees who were coming up on the 90 days so that they would not be grandfathered in. My mom knew this was coming because she saw person after person who had gotten hired a little bit before her get fired for ridiculous reasons. So when she got called into the office the day after she had to go to the hospital for a severe allergic reaction, she knew what was coming. They marked it as a no-call, no-show because she started having a severe allergic reaction on shift, and her EpiPen didn't work. She walks into the office, and she's being informed that due to her no-call, no-show, she is being let go effective immediately. She asks for her final check. They informed her that she would receive the check after she turned in her uniform. My mother proceeded to strip down to her underwear and bra, dropped the uniform on the supervisor's desk, and demanded her last check. She stood there in her underwear for 40 minutes while they tried to convince her to turn the uniform in at a later day. "Nope, you said I'd get my check when I turned in my uniform. There is my uniform. I want my check." Eventually, they wrote out a check. She then walked out, taking the long route through the casino, saying her goodbye to all the staff and regulars on her way out. So a couple days later, when my grandma had her shift, she knew what to expect, because she was coming up on that same time frame. And my grandma proceeded to do the exact same thing. My grandma walked through the casino in her underwear. Alright guys, that's going to be all for today. Thank you for watching, I appreciate it. And as always, if you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more Reddit shenanigans. So take care, have an awesome day, and I'll see you next time.